All right, welcome to the video, everybody. I have been doing a ton of Rebel testing against the Executor. My Shardmate has been putting in different comps for me to try out against to see, you know, can it beat everything? Is there something that holds it up? And, you know, testing so far so good, but there are some challenging configurations, and there's some laughably easy some. So I'm going to get to all that footage in a second. Just quick thoughts on the news that it's already probably going to get a buff. So who knows if this testing will still hold up. But for the time being, I actually like where the Executor is right now. I obviously haven't used it on offense, but it could beat everything. And if it's a complete bounty hunter composition, Rebels could run circles around it. But let me just caveat that. I don't know what lower level Rebels can. My Rebels are Relic 7, so they're on par with pretty much the Relic level of the Executor fleet. Mind you, they have some Relic 8, so like the power levels somewhat kind of similar. So like I'm okay with that, and obviously I am because it makes it easier to win. But there is some comps with Tie Bomber. Yes, they're winnable, but they are, you know, they're a little more difficult, and there are some losses here and there. So if you had the Executor and everyone in your shard has Rebels, then yeah, you're going to throw in Tie Bomber. But if only one Yahoo or, you know, no one has a good enough Rebel fleet, you're never going to have, maybe you don't even have Tie Bomber in there. You just run the bounty hunters or whatever bounty hunters make sense, and you get it done. But obviously that wasn't good enough, so something's going to be changing as per this announcement. So hopefully it doesn't drastically shift things too much. But, you know, without further ado, let's get into it. If you missed my initial video on the performance, click the card in the top right corner. The composition I went up against was Cad Bane in the starting lineup, and I actually think Cad Bane makes a lot of sense if it's a complete bounty hunter, because he starts under stealth, and it forces you to go after Hounds Tooth or Razor Crest. Now, mind you, that's going to be the strategy for Rebels anyway, but it protects that ship. And so as you're going to see, I go up against a Boba Fett configuration and also a Relic 8 IG-2000. Yes, my Shardmate has a Relic 8 IG-88. A lot of people hypothesize that could be the answer, but as you'll see, hilariously, that Slave 1 and IG-2000 do not work against Rebels in the starting lineup. It's Tie Bomber, and obviously everyone speculated Tie Bomber will be the crux, and I will show a lot of Tie Bomber footage and explain and break that down as we go through it. But again, Tie Bomber more difficult, but it is winnable in a few different ways. So let's get into it. Right, so first lineup we're going to show here is with Slave 1. Obviously it has some anti-Rebel stuff built into that new ability. I'm going in with my standard Rebel lineup: Falcon, Biggs, and Biston. And as you can see, I'm able to drop the target lot on Slave 1 right off the bat, generate that extra turn meter, get the assist from Biggs, and bam, he's gone. And that is pretty much game, set, match, because then we just go to town on Hounds Tooth, and then we go to town on, you know, the remaining of the fleet. It's a pretty easy battle. Okay, so I give the Slave 1 a second go, this time with Y-Wing in the lineup, just to see if anything was going to be any different. You know, I don't use the shield disruption right away because it's not going to land on Hound's Tooth, and I didn't know if I necessarily needed it on Slave 1, and I saved it to try on Hound's Tooth, and it's not going to hit. It's never going to hit, so that's why Y-Wing will never be good against Hound's Tooth in this configuration. There's just too much tenacity. But yeah, Y-Wing obviously lesser than Biggs in my opinion. And then for a reinforcement, I'm actually going to play around a little bit and call in the classic Hound's Tooth weapon with calling in Wedge. And Wedge gets, you know, the buff immunity and the healing immunity on Hound's Tooth, and he does an okay job there. And then, you know, he gets damage damage over time effects on his turn, and if someone's defeated, he's generating turn meter. So he does an okay job in there. He is fragile. Like, my Wedge is a Relic 4, I believe, and he still is so fragile. But in this comp, he survived, and again, not too much difficulty here going up against the remaining bounty hunters. All right, so next comp is going to be going up against Relic 8 IG-2000 in the starting lineup. Lots of theory crafting going on that this could be potentially a solution. And just like with Slave 1, we apply the target lock, we get our a couple assists, and bam, he is deleted from the starting lineup before anyone can even take a turn. And just like with the Slave 1 matchups, if you take out that ship on that first couple salvos, it's game over. There's not enough offense on this team to then stop the rebel attack that's coming for them. So any of these, and then obviously I used Cad Bane in the first one. He fared a little bit better because he's under stealth. That's why I think that comp's better, because it lasts a little bit longer. But for the most part, no bueno on these bounty hunter lineups versus rebels. Okay, so now let's get into the TIE Bomber lineups, and using the standard lineup, Biggs, Biston, and Falcon. I lost the first match trying to get TIE Bomber out as fast as I can because Hounds Tooth ends up taunting, and you're just stuck between the two taunts. It's very, very hard. Mind you, I only tried it twice, so maybe it was just bad RNG, but I found the best solution is to just go all out on Hounds Tooth. You're going to get burning. I don't think there's any way to really prevent burning coming out that first time. So just suck it up and go all in on Hounds Tooth, and the burning actually expires fairly fast. So that works in your favor. And the other thing that I find that's worked, well, it's currently working, is that there's not really a big damage dealer for the Executor. As you can see, I had burning, they had mass, Cad Bane came in with his AoE, and nothing really, they weren't able to get a ship out. So then once you finally get through Hound's Tooth, then if you get through Hound's Tooth pretty fast, it's pretty easy from there on out. And again, not that easy, but pick off the other bounty hunter ships because you don't want breach. So Razor Crest is kind of durable. So in this case, Cad Bane, whatever that first reinforcement is, take them out and then work on TIE Bomber to not get that burning out again. And again, like I said, they don't really have that big damage dealer. So I guess the other option I haven't seen yet or come across is maybe using Vader's Tie Advanced as the first reinforcement. But when you do that, you're not going to be getting to the ultimate weapon very fast. And I'll show you some videos at the end of the losses. And it's not because I lost like a lot of ships. It's because it took too long to get through TIE Bomber and Hound's Tooth that they got to the ultimate. I still have 2-3 ships when that ultimate fires. It's just once it fires, everyone gets stunned and I can't call anything else, then it's over. But for the most part, it's a little, I guess at the end of the day, it's a little RNG dependent, because if you get dodges and misses and you get like very little attacks out of turn, you're not going to churn through those ships fast enough. But from a health and protection standpoint, the ships can survive long enough. It's just getting some of those critical hits in play and figuring out a way to get TIE Bomber out or Hound's Tooth out quicker. So I've been playing with experimentation with obviously Y-Wing. You're never going to land shield disruption on Hound's Tooth, but you can land it on TIE Bomber. Again, calling in Wedge with as a potential option too, with if Hound's Tooth is still out there, to drop that healing and buff immunity on them. So like playing around those different lineups, you should be able to find a way to get those victories. So the other thing you can do that has worked for me, but I don't have the footage of it because it's glitched out right now as I'm trying to play it, is I tried Y-Wing in the starting lineup versus the TIE Bomber lineup, and not using and saving shield disruption for when the TIE Bomber has taunt on or when taunt has been removed from Hound's Tooth. That shield disruption has a higher likelihood of landing on TIE Bomber, and if you can get it landed there and an assist or two, you could delete TIE Bomber pretty fast. So I found that did work. I only tried it once. It did work. I will play with it more, but I'm gonna wait now until whatever buff we get to the Executor or ship, whatever's in the near future. Wait for that to come out. Play with it some more. But in the meantime, I was running at probably about a 75% win rate. The standard Rebel lineup, again, Biggs, Biston, Falcon, and going all, even if Tie Bomber's in the line, I'm going all in on Hounds Tooth, just getting through Hounds Tooth. The burning actually, it's annoying for one set of turns, and then that's it. You know, while that burning's out there, it's a good time to call the Falcon AoE and just get defense penetration up on all the other ships, because you're not going to get those attacks out of turn. So then when the burning expires, you guys will be juiced up to start hammering through those ships. So let me know what you think in the comments. Is there any other comps you want to see? Is there any other versions of the Executor you want to see Rebels go up against? And are you worried about whatever buff they're bringing to the Executor? Let me know, and hope you guys have a good one. Peace out.
Let's go.